Would you like to know the 2 magic words your team must use to help persuade out-of-network patients, that's patients who you're not in their plan, to make your office their happy dental home? So stay tuned, because that's exactly what we're going to be talking about right now in this live broadcast from PPO Exit. So what are some of the negative consequences to our patients when we are an out-of-network provider? Well, first of all, and share these with your team, because your team's got to know their perspective. First of all, it's the misunderstanding that they might not even be able to use their insurance in your office. Now, I'm not an attorney, so you'll need to check with your attorney, but my understanding is, in the United States, if an insurance company uses the words Preferred Provider Organization, PPO, they must allow patients to go out of network and still get reimbursement. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be exactly the same. There are differences there. You and I both know that. But out of network, they are required by law, if they're using the words Preferred Provider Organization, to allow the patient to go out of network. Now, again, I'm not an attorney. There may be exceptions to that. So do check your contracts and do check with your attorney on that. All right. Having said that, the patient's misunderstanding is pretty broad. Whereas most, if not all of them, could go and see you, even out of network. Many of them don't know that, and many of them think that they can't do that. We're going to need to leave your practice. We're going to need to leave Dr. Smith's practice because he's out of network. She's dropping our plan or doesn't accept our plan, and then they don't even schedule in the first place. All right, what else? They're concerned that if they do use their insurance in your office, they're going to be responsible for trying to figure out all the insurance paperwork, submitting it, and that kind of stuff, because you're not in their network, so they'd have to do all that work. Well, you and I know that that's not true. You need to make that clear to the patients that that is not true. That's not the case. The case is we're going to take care of everything for you. It's all done for you. You won't have to lift a finger. You won't have to fill out a claim form. You won't have to know codes. You won't have to submit. We will take care of all of that for you as a courtesy, even out of network. How about the concern that if they do go to you, it's going to cost them more? Well, that's true. If they go to you out of network, there is going to be a lower reimbursement from insurance and a higher out-of-pocket from the patient, both because of the lower percentage reimbursement and because now you're allowed to charge full fee because they're out of network. So that is true. So write this down, because this is something to share with your team. Any fee out of context is too high. Doesn't matter what the fee is. The fee could be $50, $100, $200, $1,000. Doesn't matter what the service is. Write this down. Any fee out of context is too high in the patient's perception. What that means is that you have to do a value build, not just about the fee, not just about the service, but about you and your practice and your team and everything else. It's not in a sentence. It's not in a website. It's in everything that you do. It's in your blood. It's in your DNA. Write down, it's in the culture of our practice. It's in the culture of our practice. Due to FTC rules, I'm not allowed to share what my fees were in my practices, but I can tell you that in my Framingham office, my fee for a build-up in crown, we had 70 other general dentists local to us. I was 100% fee for service, and it was a dog-eat-dog world. Everybody accepted the PPOs. So when I dropped those PPOs, I needed to make sure that it was clear to the patients that there was a major benefit to coming to see our practice, coming to see our doctors. My fee for a build-up in crown was more than double what most doctors in my area were charging, more than double. And yet patients were happy to pay it because they saw the value. Remember, any fee out of context is too high. Which reminds me of an interesting story. You can see me drinking the tea and hear my voice. If you've been on Planet Gems or PPO Exit for any length of time at all, then you know that I have permanent vocal cord damage because I talk too much. That's just the way it is. I was on the speaking circuit for over 20 years. I was accredited by the American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry, and then I served for 6 years as an examiner for the AACD. Did all this stuff with my voice. I almost lost everything, my practice and my home, because I was focused just on the clinical and not on the business side. And this is what we're talking about today, is the business side, helping patients perceive the value and why they should come to you even though you're out of network. All right, so Oh, an interesting story. I knew I was going somewhere with this. My voice was the reason I was telling you this. Because of my voice, I went to the Mass General Hospital a number of years ago. I called up some of my Freedom Summit coaching members, found me the name of Dr. Steven Zeitel. He is one of the world-renowned laryngeal cancer surgeons. And my voice was always hoarse and getting worse. And I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't cancer, which it's not, fortunately. So I called up and I said, I'd like to set up a laryngeal exam with Dr. Zeitel. And she said, that would be fine. What's your name? And I said, Tom Orent. And she said, okay, great. She said, Tom, I just want to let you know in advance that Dr. Zeitel doesn't accept your insurance. Which I thought was odd because I hadn't told her what my insurance was yet. But then I realized, he doesn't accept any insurance. Now, not only does he not accept insurance, she said, but he also won't process the insurance paperwork for you. So if you see Dr. Zeitel, we will hand you a form with a code on it, and you'll have to fill it out and submit it to your insurance. And if you get anything, great, but you'll have to pay us. I said, okay, that's fine. I said, how much is the checkup, the exam? She said, yeah, the exam payment is due at time of service, and the exam is $1,500, so it's $1,500. Now, again, any fee is too high if it's out of context. And I said to her that would be fine. She said, by the way, we have 2 other laryngeal surgeons in the group, so there's 3 of them. The other 2 will accept your insurance. Who do you want to see? You know who I ended up seeing. I ended up seeing Dr. Zeitel, and he was great, and I was happy, and I paid, and then I submitted insurance, and I don't even know to this day if we got anything back on it. I don't care. You need to put yourself in that position. Not necessarily in the position where you're going to do that with the insurance. In fact, quite the opposite with the insurance. Again, as I said just a few minutes ago, you want to make it really clear to the patient that they won't have to lift a finger. You will do everything for them. It's just going to be a courtesy, a compliments of what we do as part of our services. All right. What are the most common couple of situations during which your team's going to need to know exactly what to say and how to say it when it comes to out-of-network status? Well, the first is when you're transitioning, you're dropping an existing patient's insurance plan, whatever plan that happens to be. Mrs. Smith has XYZ PPO, and you're dropping her plan. So your team's verbal skills there are critical to whether she or all the other patients in that plan are going to stay or not. That's number one. The other time is new patients on the phone. I should say, by the way, tell your team this. There's no new patients on the phone. It's a prospective new patient. It's a prospective new patient. Until that patient is convinced that this is the place to be, and they schedule, and they show up, they're not your new patient. So this is a prospective new patient. So that's the other time. Every time a new patient calls, what's the first thing that they ask you? Yeah. They ask the team member on the phone, do you accept my insurance? Are you in network with XYZ PPO? And if you're out of network, you need to know how to handle this. So the magic word that Ben Tuane shared with us during a recent Freedom Summit coaching members retreat, and Ben, by the way, is our go-to expert. He helps our Freedom Summit members ensure that they get the maximum possible fees while they're still in PPOs. Maximum possible fees within I call it the mystical quagmire of umbrella, leased, or shared networks, which is a topic for another day, but and maybe we'll touch back on that again at some point. But that's a quagmire in itself. So Ben told us at the retreat, he said the words are, and write this down, unrestricted provider. That's unrestricted provider. They're going to say, so Mary, do you guys take Cigna, or do you guys, let's say she has Aetna, do you guys take Aetna, Delta, whatever it happens to be? That's the first words out of their mouth. Now, out of Mary, your team member's mouth would be something to the effect of, we're really glad that you called. We have a lot of patients with Cigna. In fact, now I want to be clear. I'm going to come out of roll here for a second. Do not lie to the patients. Many of the gurus on stage will tell you, oh, just tell them you accept the insurance and that you're part of Cigna, or sure, we love Cigna. Well, you may love Cigna, but don't give them the impression that you're in network. Don't lie to your patients. All right. Having said that, that just rubs me the wrong way, because you set your team up for failure with that patient when they show up. You set your team up for an argument, and you're saying to that patient, if and when they do find out you're not in network, which at some point they will, that you lied to them. So, all right. Let me just go back to the role for a second. So, Mary, do you take Cigna? Oh, we're glad you called. Tell her we're really happy that you called. We have a lot of patients with Cigna. In fact, with regard to Cigna, we take care of all the insurance paperwork. We help you maximize your dental benefits. The bottom line is you want to control the conversation. Write down, control the conversation. Jill may ask you, what are you looking to have done? Do you have a dental emergency, some specific dental problem that you want to solve? Of course, if in response they tell you whatever it is, if that's not covered by insurance typically, let them know that, because at least for that treatment, that may tip the scales in your favor in itself. All righty. So you want to find out what do they want done. And then you want to use the words unrestricted. So it's important to note, Jill, with Cigna, with respect to Cigna, we made a decision to switch to an unrestricted out-of-network status. Write that down. We made the decision to switch to an unrestricted out-of-network status. And this has led to happier and healthier patients, because as unrestricted providers, it means we have a greater ability to ensure that you have the highest quality dental treatment that you deserve. Treatment that's been proven to work and the best lasts the very best and the longest for you to create optimal health for you for a lifetime. It means you get to choose the type and the quality of the care that you prefer. Now, the reason I told you about Dr. Zeitel is that I wanted you to get just a little bit of the flavor of why I was willing to see Dr. Zeitel instead of the other two when I didn't have any idea if my insurance was going to pay anything. And even if it did, they weren't going to handle any of the pay. Why was I? Because he had already been set up as, he's the guy to see and why. And in this case, they don't necessarily know who your doctor is, but you can help them understand why you're the practice to see. And this is part of what we're doing here. So, Jill, as I mentioned, we'd be happy to check on your benefits, and also we will process and submit your insurance claims. Now, Amy on our team, write this down, Amy on our team is going to be your insurance ninja. She's your insurance ninja. She's amazing. She's a wizard at helping patients just like you maximize their insurance benefits. She'll take great care of everything just for you, and you won't have to lift a finger. And you're going to love Dr. Bob. Now we're going from the insurance is taken care of, and Amy's going to take care of everything you need. And now we're going to talk about, the doctor. You're going to love Dr. Bob. He's not only extremely gifted clinically, but he's also one of the kindest, most caring, compassionate people you'll ever meet. I promise he's going to take amazing care of you and your family. In fact, my family's been going to Dr. Bob here for years, and I couldn't imagine going anywhere else for my dental care. Even if we were to move, to Oshkosh or across country to LA or wherever tomorrow, let's say my husband got a job transfer, we'd still be flying back to see Dr. Bob once a year just to make sure that he's taking care of our dental needs, because he is amazing. And a lot of patients actually do that. They fly in to see him. So, Jill, let's get you scheduled now. Let's get you into the books right now. I'll take your insurance information. We'll do a complimentary in-depth benefits check for you before you arrive. And, when you come in, we'll show you how to maximize your insurance. Let me ask you, do you prefer mornings or afternoons? And do you prefer earlier in the week or later in the week? Okay, so you like mornings and you like kind of Thursday, Friday. I do have Friday at 9. I also have Thursday at about 11 a.m. It's 11 a.m. Thursday at 11. Which of those would be better for you? Also, Jill, can you give me the best email that I can send to verify the appointment? I'll go ahead and email you the appointment information so to make sure you have that. Also, what's the best cell phone number to text you a reminder on that? And by the way, in the email, I'm going to be sharing a link for you so that you can see for yourself what our patients, your neighbors and friends are saying about us. All right, so that's how you use the words unrestricted provider, and it will cast an entirely different light, as opposed to, oh no, we don't take your insurance, or oh no, we're out of network, or anything else you say is a negative, and everything I've just done and walked you through is a very positive for the patient. Now, are they all going to all of a sudden, want? No, of course not. I'd be Pollyanna to say that. That's not going to be the case. But you will get a significantly higher percentage of those patients to book with you, and a significantly higher percentage of your existing patients to stay with you if you're using the right verbal skills and if your passion and your team's passion about why this is the only place, this is the best place for them to be. I want to take a look at one of the most important KPIs, key practice indicators, that many doctors have told us that they have a hard time calculating. This is really important if whether you have a lot of PPOs or you're starting to leave some of them, doesn't matter either way. This is something that you must know. And many of the doctors, as I said, have told us that they don't know. And that is your PPO write-offs, your annual PPO write-offs, or PPO loss calculation. So why is that tough to determine? Well, a lot of practices, about 50% of practices, instead of entering top-line full fee, and then when the EOB comes back, writing off the PPO write-off, they just enter the full fee. They input into the system, into their software, all of the network fees, and then that's the way that they charge them, just whatever the full fee is. I'm sorry, whatever the network allowable. I hate that word allowable, by the way. That's a thorn in our side. Allowable? By whose definition? Anyway, so yeah, a lot of the offices are entering the in-network fee, and then they just don't even know what the write-off is at the end of the year. So why is it critical to know what you're writing off? Well, it'll give you the ability to make better decisions, way better decisions. Let's say you think you're writing off a fortune and you have a $1 million practice, and it turns out you're writing off $30,000 or $40,000 a year to your PPOs. That would be amazing, by the way. I don't think there's anybody in that situation. In fact, what we find is on the low end, people who have 50% or more of their patients in PPOs, dentists who have 50% or more of their patients in PPOs, on the low end, they're writing off somewhere around 20 to 25%. And unfortunately, on the high end, depending on where you are in the country and how many PPOs you're in and which terrible PPOs you may have enlisted with, some of the doctors we see are writing off 40, 45, even 50%. So it's really critical that you know that number. If you have a hard time figuring out how much you're losing to the PPOs and you'd like to hop on a 5 or 10 minute call with my team, they'll ask you a few simple questions. It's super quick and easy, after which they will run a calculation, a proprietary calculation that we've come up with, and then you will know what you're writing off. So if you don't know now, but you'd like to know, my team would be happy to speak with you. Be 5 or 10 minutes at most, during which they will create what we call the loss calculation. The loss calculation is, again, it'll take you 5 to 10 minutes on the phone with them, and it's a key number that you should know annually. If you'd like to get a loss calculation call, type loss calculation into the comments. And whether you're live or you're watching the video doesn't make any difference, because my team will follow up either way, whether you're live right now with us on PPO Exit Live or whether you're watching a video replay. Type loss calculation into the comments, and we will be happy. My team will reach out to schedule a 5 or 10 minute complimentary call. So helping general dentists reduce loss from PPOs, bump your revenue up, and more important, the profit, because revenue is meaningless without profit. That's exactly what we do. That is exactly what we do. So we basically help general dentists rapidly increase revenue in order to establish a position of financial strength so that you are confident that this is now the time that you can begin to reduce your dependence on PPOs. I often say that dropping PPOs is the last thing I would recommend. And people who don't know me say, wait a minute, I've never met you before, but I've heard that you say you should be dropping PPOs because it's better to practice fee for service. Well, that may or may not be the case. I believe it's the case. And I hope you believe that we can all be better off, including the patients, if we eliminate the meddling and the mangling of third parties. So we help general dentists increase their revenue and increase the profit, even with less time spent at the office, free up more time for you and make better income. And ultimately have patients accept your best option care at a higher level. If you'd like us to help you map out a step-by-step plan specific to your practice, this would be very specific to your practice situation. What would we do next? What would we recommend doing? If these were my practices, if your practice were my practice, what are the exact steps based on your specific situation and your goals that I would take? My team can work with you on that and map that out for you. It's complimentary. Now, maybe you just want to get out of one PPO. Maybe you have 10 and there's one you want to get out of that, but you're not ready to do it because you're just not confident financially that would be a good move. Type liberate, or maybe you want to get out of them all. Either way, type liberation into the comments if you'd like my team to reach out and see if we are maybe able to help you out. And by the way, either way, by the end of it, that's a 60-minute call. It's our breakthrough call. So type liberation if you'd like a 60-minute breakthrough call. At the end of that 60-minute call, you will have had massive value and clarity on the exact steps to take to go in the direction that you want to go based on your specific situation. And whether or not we work with you at some point or not through Freedom Summit, regardless, it will be the best 60 minutes you've ever invested working on your practice, guaranteed. So again, if you're interested in the breakthrough call, we'd love to have one of our team members help you out with that. I'm happy to do that. Type liberation. And if you would like just the 5 or 10-minute call where my team members can talk to you about and figure out what is your loss calculation, how much you're losing to PPOs each year, either way, we're happy to help you out. So just want to say to all of you out there, thank you so much for being part of our PPO exit movement. It's great to have you with us. Have a great weekend. And remember, you are only one gem away. Take care and enjoy your weekend.